something else I would like to bring into 2025
Yes.
is references for people managers of people who used to work for them.
Yes.
So not often enough or not at all in an interview, if you're applying for a people manager's job, you rarely I've never been asked for a reference from somebody who used to work for me, but I think it's a good way of reducing the risk of somebody being a terrible, toxic people manager.
Yeah.
It can't be 100% accurate. It's like well, any other references, they could put somebody down who's not really somebody who's been an employee, but like to the best of your knowledge, you're getting two references if they have had people work for them before. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're taking a risk that they will have the ability to do it, and you can kind of base that on things like their values or, the questions you ask in the interview. It's
I
always
think
going to
that's
be a
so
risk.
true.
Hmm.
You could, I think, like imagine normalizing the concept of it's three references: someone who
Mm,
works for, someone who's worked for you, and then a peer that has never done either.
yes, yeah,
Mm.
and I know that would be not a lot of effort, but it's changing things up, and people don't like change. Everyone's used to the standard. Okay, two references from two superiors, or
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
two references from superiors and a friend or colleague or personal reference, or what do they call those? Um, Personality reference or a
I mean, personal reference. When I think
personal
of it,
reference.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I never
Professional
really,
reference.
I've never seen, I haven't seen them in many a year. I think the only time I've really seen them actually is when I was applying in Ireland.
Mm.
But I always saw you would see a lot of personal references on for more junior positions, people who don't have the experience or it's
Oh
entry
yeah,
level where like I
yeah,
actually don't have references because I've never like
yeah,
worked in this kind of field or anything before. And so a personal reference just holds a lot of weight then because
yeah,
um
yeah, yeah.
they
Character
kind of
reference. That's what I'm thinking of.
character reference. There we go.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. I knew something like
It.
that. Something a bit more formal, but yeah. So I think that would be great because it would kind of weed out to a certain extent, people that are awful. But at the same time, like, are you going to apply for a job? Like, are you actually going to give references that are terrible? Like, you wouldn't. So it's kind of like,
No.
how would it work and
Yeah.
so on and so on. But if they can't provide them, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
If they seem fake, that's also a red flag. There would have to be um formal kind of processes or checks, like background checks. But yeah, I think that would be a good way to do it.
I agree. I agree.
Um,
Yeah, references are always a little bit odd though, because like that, you're obviously pick the references you provide as
mhm,
who are likely to give you a good reference.
yeah,
And for most places now, again, I think it's slightly legally, if you ring a company for a reference for a person, like they can only give out information that confirm their employment. Like
yeah.
it's
They can't
really
give
just
good or bad
yeah, yeah,
reviews. They
yeah.
just
There's
say
no
yes,
kind of
they worked
involved
here.
between this
Yeah,
time and this time, and here was their job title or titles during these
yeah,
times. That's the
yeah,
extent of it.
exactly.
That's why you see a lot of back channel referencing,
What's
especially the
that?
more senior up you go. So, so say I apply for a job with you and you're like, here, give me your two references, and I give you two references and they're glowing. Of course they are. And you're like, that's great. And then you go on LinkedIn and you're like, actually, there's another person that would have worked at that company with them that I know someone who knows them. I'll try and like contact them and ask them what they
Oh,
think
the
about it.
recruiter asks
Or the
they kind of
employer.
go,
Yeah,
the
they'll
employer
go and
circumnavigates the
they'll go and
applicant.
yeah, and they'll
Okay,
go and
okay.
contact their own people that they know would have worked with them or for them or
Hmm.
outside of that just to see if they can get like an outside reference. So that happens
Mm.
quite a lot
Hmm.
as well because people don't trust references because of course they don't.
Yeah,
Now, obviously,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
red flag if you're not able to provide a reference. So that's different. But the
Yeah.
odds
Red
are
flag number one.
someone has
And
a few
then,
references, then that's their grant,
yeah,
And like
yeah.
you're mostly just ringing them to confirm that they're real, um,
Hmm.
and that they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah. If they seem suspect, then that's also a red flag. So
yeah,
you'll have to do a little more digging into that. If
mm-hmm.
they give you a name and you look them up and it's like an account with one follower or, something not a real person or, yeah, you can do your due diligence and look around. There's many ways to do it, but overall, yeah, reducing the risk of toxic managers or just like
yeah,
poor people managers
yeah,
in general that will, reduce the productivity of your teams or your business or just
mm-hmm.
generally not be a positive addition. They might be better in a role there where they don't have direct reports,
Yeah,
individual contributor role.
yeah,
Uh,
100%.
but it's so difficult
Yeah,
with people and personalities and just figuring it all out. So fluid, like nothing's exact or final when it comes to, personalities and how people change.
Yeah,
Except they're always perfect.
obviously,
I mean,
of course.
always the life and soul and
Yeah, yeah. That's how people describe me.
leader in
The
every
life
room.
and soul of a party. That's definitely how people. I've heard it.
Heard it whispered.
Surrounded by books and Lego. That's life and soul of the party. That's it. That's me.
Yep. Party of one.
Oh
Oh dear.
my God. Yeah.
Anything else? Also, like
Mm.
and subscribe.
My God. No, listen to
Leave a
me.
comment.
Listen.
What?
Neil asked me last night. He said, "Do you do that thing like we're halfway through? You're like, oh, and if you like this, like and subscribe." I'm like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that because I hate it.
I
And
know I hate it too.
if I'm on YouTube, we can put
And I
this.
want to. I
If
will.
I'm on YouTube, if I want to, I will. And also, I know how YouTube works. Like, I
Yeah.
don't need people in every video hammering me to be like, oh, don't forget to like click that button and like. And the
I
people who are like,
know.
oh, and enable notifications. I'm like, absolutely not.
How dare you even suggest it?
If you like it, I love great. But like, I'm not gonna tell you what to do with your life.
No, I don't want to be notified of a new YouTube video of a random account I'm subscribing to unless I'm really into it. And if I am, I will do that on my own accord or of my own
Exactly.
accord.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
yeah.
quickest way to get me to not subscribe is someone
It's
who keeps saying it over and over
mm-hmm,
again. I'm like, you know what? No.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And oh, sorry, thinking of that, one
yeah.
other thing to leave behind in 2024 is the amount of ads in podcasts. I was listening to one today. I love the two podcasters, they're reality TV show people. There was 9 minutes of ads in between two sections.
Oh
I kept
no.
forwarding 15 seconds, 15 seconds. And then like I was like, I'll just drag it along. 8 minutes later or 9 minutes later, they were still talking about sponsors and things like that. And
Oh
it's just
God.
so aggressive and inappropriate, you know?
That's really bad. I've never had that. Maybe I should add you to my Spotify family plan.
Oh no, no, no. Even these are all podcasts. I mean, you have to join the Patreon of each individual one and pay for each individual one to get no ads. So it's not like you can do a
Are you
blanket
serious?
subscription. Not that I'm aware of for Apple iTunes. There's no such thing as like a blanket subscription where you get no ads at all. It's each individual podcast. Every time I'm listening to a public one that's available on iTunes, they say head on over to our Patreon. It's only like $5, $10 a month, and you'll get ad-free content and exclusive content that you won't get on the public feed. And then they harass you with 8 minutes of ads in the non-paying version. So say
Listen,
you're listening to five podcasts and you want, no ads, you're gonna pay like minimum $25 a month to listen to five podcasts ad free, or else you have to be listening to 8 minutes, 9 minutes of ads.
I reiterate my previous comment. So on Spotify, because obviously we pay for the subscription. I think you sometimes you'll get an ad at the beginning and then maybe at the end, but like you don't get it
Yeah.
in the middle of it.
Yeah. I don't actually, I've never
And
really
it's
listened to
usually not
podcasts
eight
on
minutes.
Spotify.
It's like 1 or 2 minutes, where they're obviously they have a sponsor and they talk about their sponsor or
Yeah.
whatever. Like,
Yeah.
but
Because
it's
I have
fine. Like
premium
it's fine.
Spotify. I've never tried actually listening to them on Spotify. Maybe I will do that. But Apple
Little by
Podcasts drives
little,
me.
I will like pull you over away from Apple. Just
I
like,
don't use anything else from Apple.
oh,
I have an iPhone, obviously, but I don't use like iTunes to listen to music. I have Spotify. Um, wait, that's probably it because I do use
I
Safari.
you should definitely listen to your podcast on Spotify then.
I'm gonna try it tonight and see because honestly,
Yeah.
I'm losing the will to live when I have to, I play them at night and I wake up and it's an ad and I'm trying to fast forward it at like 3 a.m. because I don't want to listen to the crap. I will make a point of noting that I will never buy anything in an ad that's on a
Yeah.
podcast or a YouTube video because it's so intrusive and annoying that I'm like, why this doesn't make me want to buy from you or purchase your product.
No.
I'm
This is
associating it with
a good
annoyance.
point. So what I would like to leave behind in 2024 is aggressive advertising.
Yes.
But largely because I do think that it is counterproductive in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Because so someone sent me a link to a company called NutriFarms recently.
Mm-hmm.
NutriFarms, they're basically you can like bulk order meat, right? And I think vegetables and stuff as well.
Yeah.
And it's meant to be like that they source from like local farmers, it's meant to be very good quality. And there were other companies that I had been looking at before because I was like, you know what? We have the freezer space. Actually, it might be a lot more economical to buy a bunch of it, stick it in the freezer, have it for 6 months kind of situation. But a couple of the other ones I was looking at didn't deliver to this area. So I was like, okay, so someone sent me this one. And I went on and looked at their website, and they were like, oh, like with your first order, if you spend a minimum amount of money, you get a free freezer. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But then I was thinking to myself, but you know what? Actually, I was kind of looking up the prices of these freezers. Like they weren't like great freezers, right? And like, so I was like, do you know what? Actually, it seems like a marketing gimmick, but like financially, I guess that makes kind of sense because then people can
Yeah.
say they don't have the space, but then once you have that freezer going forward, you're more likely to go back to them. So actually, do you know what? In the long
Yeah.
term, it seems like a great strategy. So I went onto their website and I was like, all over their website was like, if you want to know more about how this, like, that's free freezer, like, you know, click here to learn more. And I kept trying to find info on it, but I couldn't. So I was like, fine, I'll click here to learn more, where you have to put in your information, right? But you're like, okay, they want, you know,
Yeah.
going to send me shit. Like, fine, that's the world we live in. So I put that in and was expecting to receive something, and I didn't. But once I did that, either I didn't find it before or it was suddenly on the website. It was just the information was on the website. It said, if you spend this, you get this freezer or this one for a minimum amount. And I was like, oh, okay, great. They have phoned me every single day since then.
Oh my God.
They have sent me emails all the time. I figured out in the end from it, because their website was very confusing, that and maybe I shouldn't have named them because I'm like really shit talking them. That it turns out it's more of a subscription service, and I'm really talk about leaving things back in 2024. I'm trying to obviously to not be on subscription stuff where possible, and it's more of a subscription thing because they're like, oh, you have to buy like this amount of food, but then you'll pay this amount every month, and like it'll just renew kind of a thing. And I'm like,
it's not as simple as you
and
thought
it's
it might
kind of
be.
like dressed up as if they're saying it costs a lot of money, so you only have to pay monthly. But when you look into it, it's very much a subscription based kind of thing. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. I want to be able to go on, pick out the things I want, pay for it, and have it delivered.
Yeah.
It's like really quite simple.
Yeah.
So once I saw that, I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely not doing that. They call me every single day. They have left 5 voicemails. They have sent me emails to the point where I'm like, now I'm never going to buy from you. Because if you have to sell me that hard on your stuff, I am suspicious.
Yeah.
This seems like you're doing too much, right? And most people who do that much, they're putting that much money. If you think of how much money it takes to have people sitting there, because like I'm going to be one of hundreds of people who are emailing, phoning, leaving voicemails all day, every day. Like that's a lot of money to put into that. And that's not, if the service kind of stood for itself, they wouldn't need to do that much, especially when you're offering a free freezer.
So are they getting enough clients through that hard sell strategy to cover the cost of all that? Like maybe like it's just such a poor model. You know, it's just such a, we're going to annoy people so much until somebody bites.
And so now I'll never buy from them.
Yeah. And you'll spread negative word of mouth about them too, because
like,
they've harassed you essentially.
Literally. Like I have a stalker.
Yeah. Like the smell of desperation off them.
Yeah. I like they're calling me at nighttime and stuff. Like
that's so inappropriate.
Like, just stop.
That is so inappropriate. Who thought that was a good idea, and who pitched that to whoever signed off on it?
Yeah. But the thing is also like they're not alone. Like there's so many plenty of people who do that. And this is what I would like to leave behind, because I think that aggressive advertising, a lot of people now, you know, I mean, we're all very easily influenced, we're humans, but a lot of people now are just like, no, like you're doing too much, and therefore you're now on a list where I never buy list, right?
I
feel like that one. I hear the same ad over and over again. Or like, oh my God, cable TV here, like you just show the same ad all the time, sometimes on repeat, and you're just like, why are you doing that? That's crazy.
Brainwash you.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, now also I'm not gonna ever.
Yeah.
No,
that's not talked about enough.
Yeah,
not talked about enough. The phenomenon of people just being over it, you know, over aggressive marketing strategies. And I honestly thought the hard sell was gone. Like the only reason to do it is to sell a product that nobody really wants or something, or that doesn't actually have any benefit. But like, why would you want to do that anyway? Like in the long term, like doesn't really work. And if it does, there has to be some kind of negative, you know, aspect of it. I don't know, like fooling customers, or having some kind of legalities around, you know, what you're offering and how you're contacting people. But anyway, that's a really good one.
Like even on that one, you could sign out, like if you committed to a 3-year subscription, basically they don't use the word subscription, then you would, I don't know, get something else, you know. And it was just like, are you kidding me? So to your point, like I think that's it, when you're incentivizing that hard sell to the point that it gets unethical.
Yes.
You end up with victims, right? Like it's not me. I'm just gonna sit on here and complain about them. But like people who are worn down into doing it. and
Yeah.
there's
It's
people
like
that
the
are willing.
scammers calling older people and saying like,
Yeah,
yeah, we need you to pay for this. And they like panic, not knowing, what the reality of it is. So it's just,
yeah.
yeah, very unethical. Um, yeah.